What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Fort Misery Gaming for some more Epic 7 news. And oh boy, we did not think only 24 hours from the moment they announced the official dev notes that they were actually going to bring us the full details of all the massive things that are going to happen next week on March 4th's update that has in relation to effect improvements, molagora changes, and hero balancing changes. So strap yourself in, guys. We have some big news, and we're going to go over it today. So first off, the Awakening effect improvements are going to be changed. As you guys see here, the left column is what it was before. So the 3% goes to 6%, 6% goes to 12%, and then 3 and 6 as well go to 12 and 6 for effectiveness and effect resistance in your Awakening Ruin tree. Then for crit hit chance and crit hit damage, crit hit chance is going to go from 3 to 4%. From 6 to 8%, and then we're going to have crit hit damage go from 3 to 5, and then from 3 to 5, and then from 6 to 10. So that is pretty massive. So all of your CPs on all these characters that have these abilities are all going to go up. So it would be really cool to check your stats of what they're going to be after the patch goes live next Wednesday. Then for hero balancing changes, so we have the first nerf, and it was writing on the wall. It was a unanimous by pretty much everyone out there, from content creators to high-level, mid-level players, that we all knew Kluri was going to get hit because of how useful she is in arena offense, arena defense, and in all concepts of PvE as well. So let's go ahead and go over what happened to her and what you guys think what you guys should do. I'll probably have a more comprehensive video, possibly even a podcast, whether or not you should actually recall your Kluri, depending on your box and your situation and where you're at in the game. So first of all, we have the Flurry attack, which is obviously the one to talk about, which is her S3. Originally, it was a max of can be reduced to 4-turn cooldown, and it was a 75% chance, max 100% to dispel all buffs and provide provoke and defense break for 2 turns. Basically, it is the same effect. It's just now the max that can be cooldown is 5. So it's going to be a 5-turn cooldown instead of a 4. But the big hit actually was in her ruins. So her ruins got changed from having a 15% chance to basically have an RNL effect, twin effect of having an extra turn, to now a 10% chance to increase combat readiness of the caster only by 50%. So you basically, and why this is like a double edge for Kluri is because it was only a 4-turn cooldown, you could proc her S3 very frequently. Especially in PvP because of how the AI works. It just seemed like the AI in PvP was always more generous than in PvE. But basically, you could proc it multiple times. Getting 2 turns every potential round. Basically, it could potentially mean every other turn you could be applying Kluri's S3. And now that is not going to happen. The best you could hope for is to get a 50% acceleration. Keep in mind, her S1 is still the same, so she still will get combat readiness off of her S1. So, in short, would I recall her? I would say if you have a lot of units that can fill her role, it's probably a smart idea to recall her, especially if you have done molagora investments. That'll give you the opportunity to molagora enhance some of your other units, like perhaps your Shadow Rose, perhaps your Tamarine, your Angelicas, units like that could provide a similar role, even DN to an extent. So depending on where you're at with your molagoras and where you're at in the content in the game, but take advantage. If you guys are still trying to burst through PvE like Abyss Towers and raids, definitely take advantage of her for the next week to use her before you'd have to make that ultimate decision to recall her or play with her nerfed. So, but definitely it's going to shake things up in arena defense for sure. So now let's go into the buffs. So everything going forward of all the characters, we're going to go over all buffs. So Specimen says the ML version before had on his S1, I believe, had attacks with an Iron Mace with a 35% chance to stun. Now it is going to attacks with a 50% chance to stun. So a 50% chance to stun on S1, pretty darn good there for PvP. And then he has his AoE after Awakening was attack all enemies, increase the caster's combat readiness by 50%. Now after, it's going to attack all enemies with a 30% chance to stun. So 30% chance to stun all enemies and increase combat readiness by 50%. So that is pretty darn awesome. 30%. So hopefully you're going to get at least 1 stun on all enemies. If you're fighting 4 people, So this is going to be, you know, for regular PvP. You basically, if you spread that out, it would basically be 120%. So hopefully you can get 1 to 2 stuns there. For Guild War, hopefully you'll get 1 as well. And then we also have Light Storm, which is attacks before it was attacks with Light Storm if the enemy is stunned, penetrates their defense. And now it is attacks the enemies with Light Storm, resets cooldown of Light Storm if the enemy is defeated, and if the enemy is stunned, penetrates their defense. So that could be crazy good. He is a thief, keep in mind, so Light Storm with R and L could be completely deadly by killing a unit and then getting that cooldown and be able to do it again. So because you're going to have penetrating defense, that is going to do quite a bit of damage. So Specimen says, big buff. You know, I think it was needed. He was like ranked as the lowest 5-star in the game, so I'm down for his buff. Then we have Spectre Tenebria. Poison blast damage will be increased by 20%. That's just a flat thing. And then, does it actually, okay. So in this, attacks poison energy with a 50% chance. Max 70% chance to inflict poison for 2 turns. I just think that overall there is just, they're increasing the damage by 20%. Alright, so before, it was on Nightmare Illusion, was when an enemy is debuffed, the range of Poison Blast extends to 2 enemies. Okay, so I guess that would mean you would attack 2 enemies? If I'm not mistaken, I don't have Spectre Tenebria, so I can't really say for sure what it did. Damage dealt by poison enemies is decreased by 20%. When this effect is granted more than once, only the strongest effect is applied. Now, the caster cannot be targeted if an ally hero remains. Every time someone is defeated, the caster's attack and defense will increase. Okay, so basically the whole thing of Poison Blast is completely taken out. So the only thing that matters now is the caster cannot be targeted if allied heroes remain. Every time someone is defeated, the caster's attack and defense will increase by 7%, max 10%. Can be stacked 5 times. So that means if you have her skilled up, every time that she kills somebody, if that's how it's worded, right? So caster cannot be targeted by if allied heroes remain. Every time someone is, it just says someone is defeated. So I wonder if that means your allies as well, or does it only mean your allies? Okay, I don't know. We'll have to see how that works for sure. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that works. But anyway, she's going to get up to a 10% increase in attack and defense, and it can go up to 10 times. So she could go up to a 50% increase attack and defense. That's pretty insane, actually. Very, very good for PvP. And then now we have skill enhancement has been changed for, looks like for Nightmare Illusion, I would assume. All stats are going to go up by, yeah, because that would decrease damage. So now this is going to be all stats can go up. If you max it to, that's going to be, what, 3%? Looks like? Yeah, 3% in her skill ups for that ability. And then we have Endless Nightmare, which was before attacks an enemy with a Nightmare Crystal, decreasing their combat readiness of all enemies by 50%. When an enemy dies, damage dealt is proportional to the number of debuffs inflicted on the enemy. Now it's going to be attacks with a Nightmare Crystal, stuns the enemy for 1 turn, and decreases combat readiness of all remaining enemies by 50%. So basically what it is now is going to stuns the enemy for 1 turn. Attacks with a... Okay, so I wonder, I'm not sure if that is a AoE or not. It's just as attacks with a Nightmare Crystal and stuns the enemy for the enemy. So I would assume that part is AoE, is a single target, and then decrease the combat readiness of all remaining enemies. So the decrease in combat readiness appears to be AoE, and then the stun and damage seems to be single target, is what I read there. Let's go to Oxalot. He got a pretty awesome improvement. So before, it was increased attack of the caster for 1 turn on his S1. Now it is to increase the combat readiness of the caster by 15%. Now we have Mana Injection, which is going to be before, injects the ally with mana, increases attack for 2 turns and combat readiness by 80%. Now it is going to increase the attack for 2 turns and combat readiness by 100%, before increasing the caster's attack for 2 turns and combat readiness by 30%. So you give a free turn, basically, to an ally with attack up for 2 turns, and then he gets himself 30% combat readiness and attack up as well. That is pretty awesome. Pretty good utility there. And then Desolation, we have attacks all enemies with a 75% chance to silence. for 1 turn, and now it is 75% chance to silence for 2 turns. So basically, they increase the silence duration by 1 turn. Very good. Now we have Kitty Clarissa. Kitty Clarissa, before was going to be on her, I believe this is S1, attacks all enemies with a 60% chance, max 80% chance to decrease buff duration, by 1 turn, and make them unhealable for 2 turns. And then if the caster is granted loveliness, effect chance increases by 20%, so that would give you a 100% chance to do that. Very, very awesome. So they basically, so they added, what was it they changed? Buff duration. Oh, okay, they didn't have the buff duration at all. So they gave her basically a strip. Yeah, they basically gave her a strip. Okay. So Meow, I'm Angry. After Awakening was attacks all enemies with a Morning Star with a 60%, max 80% chance to decrease debuff duration by 2 turns and make them unhealable for 2 turns. Okay, no, okay, sorry. Where did I... Oh, okay, I read the wrong one. Okay, my bad. Alright, attacks all enemies with Star with an 80% chance to decrease buff for 2 turns and make them unhealable for 2 turns. What is different? I'm trying to figure out what was different here. After Awakening... Oh, okay, decreased debuff duration. Okay, so okay, they did have decreased debuff duration before, but it was only for 1 turn. Now they're increasing the debuff duration by 2 turns. So that basically equates to it's going to be a strip. Unless it's DN, I believe DN is one of the few characters that gives an attack and crit hit damage reduction by 3 turns. So DN would be the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that can't be straight up countered by Clarissa here. So okay. So now let's go into I'm So Cute Meow. So before it was decreased debuff duration by all allies by 2 turns and granting the caster immunity for 3 turns. And now it is going to be... so I think they didn't change anything with the actual effect. What they did is they lowered her cooldown. So her cooldown got lowered from max 5 turns to 4 turns. So now she has a 4-turn cooldown, and that's pretty awesome. Okay, so there we go. That is Clarissa's change. Now for Assassin Sid, we have when the enemy is defeated, targets the enemy with the least health for 2 turns and increase speed of the caster by 30%, max 50%. When an enemy is defeated, increase the caster's combat readiness by 15%, max 30%, and increases attack for 1 turn. Can be activated once per turn. Wow, that's awesome, actually. That, I believe, is his S1, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because this isn't... or no, this is his passive, right? Yeah, this is his passive. So his passive now is going to give him a max of 30% combat readiness and increases attack. So he doesn't get the speed up, but he gets increased attack, which is probably... That's like... combat readiness is way better, so... Definitely down for that. And you guys can see there, he goes up to 30%. And the skill ups, you got to skill it up to, I believe, just +3. I'd have to check his skill tree or his skill enhancement tree to see for sure if there's only 3 skill ups on his S2. And now we have Execution. Attacks the enemy with a ground pound, silencing them for 1 turn, and decreases their combat readiness by 30%. Damage dealt increases the caster's speed. Now it is going to be attacks the enemy, silencing for 1 turn, and decrease combat readiness by 50%. So there we go. So it is going to be a 20% increase in decreasing combat readiness. 50% is very, very huge. If this is the first turn, he's attacking first with Execution. If he doesn't kill them, that basically is sending them all the way back to the beginning of the combat readiness bar. So that is awesome. Now we have Tywin. Tywin basically went from a defense down 2 turns and defense up for 3 turns from a 75% max to a 100% max. So basically his skill is the same. He does defense break and increases defense of 3 turns for himself. Now it's a 100% when you skill up him. So he's very, very good now, having a 100% defense break on all enemies, right? Yeah, an AoE 100% defense break. That is pretty sweet. And now we have Cecilia. Basically, what her change was, she went for a max of 75% chance to provoke to a 100% chance to provoke. And what's really good is she now started at 60%. She starts at 85%. That is insane. So, yeah, you only... there was only a difference of 15% here. But starting at 85 as opposed to 60 is a huge increase for Cecilia. So, granted, I think she's only going to see a lot of play in PvP, which obviously this is what these changes are for, but still a great addition for her kit. Now we have Basar. He before was attacks all enemies, dispelling all buffs and making them unable to be buffed for 2 turns. And I believe he didn't change. Yeah, he didn't change. His cooldown got changed from 5 to 4. So it goes to a max of 4 turn cooldown. And then we have Zerato. So we have, after Awakening, dealing increased damage when the enemy is debuffed. Now the enemy attacks the enemy repeatedly and increases the caster's combat radius by 15%. So he basically got a 50% combat radius increase on his attack there. And then we have Iceberg. Attacks all enemies with a 50% chance to stun. And I think it's, yeah, so that's the same. It's just the cooldown went from 5 to 4 on max skill up. Now we have Concentration with Silk. Gains 1 focus at the end of the turn and consumes 2 focus when attacked. If the caster's stacked focus is more than 2, single shot is enhanced to automatic fire and damage dealt increases. Now it is going to be gain 1 focus at the end of the turn and consumes 1 focus when attacked. If the caster's stack focus is more than 2, single shot is enhanced. So basically, she only consumes 1 focus as opposed to 2 when she's attacked. So obviously makes her trigger happen more often. Then we have Storm Arrow as well, which is going to attack all enemies with an 80% chance, max 95% chance to decrease speed for 2 turns and gain speed to all allies. Now it is going to attack with, I believe, what is it? So attacks all enemies with an 85% chance and then 100% chance max to decrease the speed for 2 turns and gain increased speed. So it basically just went from a 95% to 100%. So very minor on her S3, but still, you know, having that extra 5% could prove useful. It does start at 85% on her buff as opposed to 80%. So very, very good. And then we have finally the last hero to go over is going to be Crozet. Crozet is going to cast a barrier over an ally when an attack causes their health to fall below 50%. Barrier strength increases proportional to target's max health, can be activated every 2 turns. Now it's going to be cast a barrier over an ally for 2 turns, increasing their defense for 2 turns. When an attack causes to fall below 50%, barrier strength increases proportional to target's max health, can be activated every 2 turns. I believe that's a passive ability if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, that's an active ability. So cast a barrier over an ally for 2 turns, increases their defense. So basically it changed to getting a barrier and getting increased defense for 2 turns. So that's pretty cool, actually. So very, very hard to punch through that. Now, let's get to the juice of what I'm excited for is Molagoras. You already know it. So here we go. They have straight up costing now, so we all know that now we can exchange the Molagora Go, that it's going to be in the shop tab of the game permanently. You can change 4 regular Molagoras for a Molagora Go before, as of right now in the game, as of Thursday on, what are we on today? March 21st. This is going to have, March 4th week update. Okay, so yeah, we're in the last week of March next week. So all this is going live next week, by the way. But before, you'd have to wait for the Labyrinth to randomly have the 4 Molagora exchange for the 1 red. So now we can do that anytime. But the big thing here is now they have decreased the skill enhancement requirement for Molagora by 30%. I'm going to be interested. Does it say here if they don't mention the Catalyst? So the Catalyst may still be the same. We'll have to see if we actually get refunded in Catalyst. I can't remember when they did the original Molagora decrease back when the game first came out, if we actually got Catalyst back. So we'll have to see when that goes live if we get refunded any Catalyst. But you guys see here, to max a 3-star hero, right now you need 46 Molagoras, and that's the plus 15 somebody, and now you only need 33. For our 4-star, it was 56, now it's going to be 39. And then you see that big jump from 5-star, 68 to 48. So if you guys had any characters that were max skilled, you're basically on that one character going to get 20 Molagoras. So that is awesome. So it's going to be really cool to see how many Molagoras every player gets. I have them spread out through a lot of characters. So I'm hoping I get at least 30 Molagoras back, something like that, because of how much skill ups I've done since I have a day 1 account. So we'll have to see how this goes. And it says excess Molagoras used compared to the new decreased Molagora will be returned together with gold to the player's in-game mailbox. Excess Molagora Goes will be returned as a Molagora. Oh, This is big. So they're actually giving us any red molagoras will be having an exchange of a 1.5 rate. So that means any red molagora you used, basically you should get a one regular molagora back for that. That's actually huge. So that's gonna be cool to see how that pans out. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, so you're gonna get excess molagoras, so you return as an exchange rate of 1 to 5. Sweet. All right, and players will be able to exchange the 4 molagoras for the 1, which we already saw that. And now also, Gobble's Hoochie will no longer sell Molagora Goes, and Hoochie will now sell Charms at a cheaper price. Okay. Will now sell Charms at... Okay, so Charms at a cheaper price. So I believe that's the Labyrinth? The Hoochie is the Labyrinth guy, so we're going to be able to buy Charms cheaper. I wonder if they're going to lower the Gobblicus Charms as well. We'll have to see. Probably not, though, because they didn't mention that in here. And then we have Arena Season 2 launch, guys, so that's right. So the update's going to happen. You guys see here, basically all they're saying is the addition of the Glory Crests are going to be obtained, and then Arena Season Shop 2 are going to be obtained as well. But they are decreasing the cost of Charms and Conquest Points, so if you guys are not in a rush to beat any kind of content right now this week, I would highly recommend saving all of your Conquest Points. Even if we're not going to be able to use as many of the Conquest Points for the equipment and the slate, still the fact that they're going to be reducing the cost of Charms in the Conquest Shop is going to be very, very beneficial for you to hoard as much of your Conquest Points as you can for the next couple days. So definitely look out for that. And then this is the new schedule. And again, I get tilted. I'm happy Sigurd Scythe and Ritual Sword are in here so I can finally get them. But still, Urbis Tooth was not added in the next week for Mystic Summons. And it's not added next month for the shop either. So again, I'm tilted with no Urbis Tooth. But this is everything you guys can get in the next powder shop. We are going to be able to get Celestine, RNL, the twins. We're going to get Ritual Sword, which is very, very good for anyone who pulled Charles that didn't have that. This is probably the #1 artifact for him. Sigurd Scythe will go very, very well on either your ML Ken or regular Fire Ken. So if you guys don't have Sigurd Scythe, that's a good pickup. I am going to be cashing in all of my powder to get these two. I'm going to pass probably on Celestine. I already have RNL, so I already have 2 RNLs actually. You can also get L's Fist. You can get Arius. Arius will probably be a big pickup for a lot of people. Some people may actually forego the 5-star artifacts to get Arius to max Arius, because Arius is probably overall the #1 knight artifact in the game. You guys can also get Rosa. As you guys know, that's one of the best artifacts to use on your Bologna. So that is a very good pickup as well. And Kaladra is very good for mages like Guider Aether. It's a very good artifact for that. And they're just talking about some fixes with Violin Error and with the package price. So that is going to be the video today, guys. I hit about the mark I wanted to. It was like I've seen other people post about today's update was around 20 to 22 minutes. So let's get hyped, guys. This is awesome. I'm really, really stoked that Smilegate did not really go crazy with the nerf list, and they only hit Kluri, which I'm totally down for Kluri getting hit. I'm not going to complain. I'm probably going to recall mine. But for the amount of usefulness she's done for me of clearing through 90 of Abyss and multiple raids and other content in the game, I'm totally down that, you know, now she's got to take a back seat, unfortunately. But I'm really, really happy Smilegate did not hit any ML characters. I really don't want to see ML characters get hit because that really lowers the value of summoning for MLs if they nerf a lot of them. So I'm really hoping that they try to format the other regular characters, especially like 3- and 4-star characters, if they feel they're a problem, as opposed to trying to hit ML characters. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Talk about the nerfs, talk about the buffs, talk about the improvements for Molagoras, the awakening effects, and the upcoming Season 2 Arena Shop. I thank you guys so much for checking out the video today. As always, if you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below and like the video if you guys did like today's video, and so you guys can be updated for more Epic 7 content. And until then, guys, this is your boy Fort Misery Gaming. Hope to see you guys all in the next Epic 7 video. Peace out, guys.